What if I told you your next iPhone might cost more than your rent? Not because of some fancy new feature, but all because of one post from Donald Trump. Buckle up. This isn't your regular tech news. It's a power play, a trade war curveball, and a move that could shake the foundation of the US economy. And here's the kicker. You haven't even heard the wildest part yet. It all began on what seemed like a regular morning, until Trump jumped on his favorite social platform and dropped a bomb that rocked Wall Street. No warning, no sugarcoating, just straight-up policy in a post. Boom. A 50% tariff on all European Union imports starting June 1st. And before markets could catch their breath, he fired off another one. A 25% tariff on Apple if they don't shift iPhone production back to US soil. Now you might think, come on, it's just another Trump tweet. But this wasn't noise. It was a direct hit aimed at one of America's biggest tech titans. And the market? It reacted instantly. Apple's stock dipped nearly 3% in moments. Trump's message was loud and clear. I told Tim Cook long ago, I want iPhones built in America. If not, there's a 25% tariff waiting. But here's the problem. US labor is way more expensive. Analysts estimate that if Apple made iPhones entirely in the US, each unit could cost up to $3,500. Tech analyst Dan Ives didn't hold back. He called the plan a fairy tale. In his words, we believe Apple making iPhones in the US is simply not realistic. And it's not just Apple feeling the heat. Trump's 50% EU tariffs? They hit just as global markets were easing into a fragile 90-day truce. The timing? Brutal. What looked like diplomacy flipped into chaos. Uncertainty and volatility rippled across continents. Investors hoping for calm suddenly found themselves in a tailspin. Meanwhile, the White House scrambled to craft a new narrative. Now, here's where things really shift. During the US-China trade conflict, Apple had already started moving production to India. It was a smart move, diversifying their supply chain, managing costs, and avoiding fallout. But that wasn't enough for Trump. He didn't just want Apple out of China. He wanted those iPhones built here in the US. Sounds patriotic, right? Great for American jobs? Not exactly. Experts say it would take 5 to 10 years for Apple to fully move production stateside. And the cost? It's not a small bump, it's a leap. That $1,000 iPhone? Try $3,500. No gold trim, no diamond screen, just the same phone with a triple-digit price tag. So while Trump threatens tariffs to bring Apple back home, the truth is, they can't. Not quickly, not cheaply, not without destroying demand. Think about it. When average Americans see a $3,500 iPhone, they're not celebrating jobs. They're walking away from Apple. And Trump? He knows that. That's the part no one's saying. Dan Ives puts it bluntly. This isn't a strategy, it's a fantasy. And fantasies come with real-world financial shocks. What's happening behind closed doors at the White House doesn't quite match the picture they're painting on camera. Publicly, it's a red, white, and blue message. Bring back American jobs. Privately, even Trump's own advisors admit it'll hit US consumers hard. Reporters have been pressing the White House for answers. Will iPhone prices spike? Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt dodged the question every time like she was in a dodgeball tournament. But behind the curtain, they know. Yes, it will drive up prices. No, they're not going to say it publicly. Trump's warned Tim Cook multiple times, if you want to sell iPhones in America, they'd better be made in America. Just days ago, Cook was back at the White House. But here's the reality. Apple isn't shifting iPhone production anytime soon. And if they ever do, that sleek new iPhone you're holding could come with a jaw-dropping price tag, one most Americans simply won't pay. During their latest meeting, Trump told Cook yet again shift your factories or face the 25% tariff. Why does it matter? Because even administration officials agree this move would raise costs. American consumers will feel it. Let's talk numbers. Right now, an iPhone averages around $1,000 in the US, but top analysts and trade experts say if production moves stateside and tariffs kick in, prices could explode to $3,500. That's not speculation, it's based on hard calculations. So while Trump keeps tweeting America first behind the scenes, his team knows who's really footing the bill: regular Americans. Tim Cook's caught in a pressure cooker. He's met with Trump again and again, and the message has been the same: move factories or pay the price. But Apple isn't a corner shop. It's one of the world's largest tech empires, with supply chains that stretch across the globe. This isn't just about patriotism, it's about supply chain logistics, costs, and timeframes. Still, Trump seems determined. In the public eye, Trump wants to be seen as the president who made the world's richest company bow to pressure. And if that means iPhones become too pricey for the average American, well, that part doesn't show up in the press briefings. Here's the hard truth. This isn't real thought-out policy. Apple's stock had already dropped 2% in pre-market trading before the opening bell on Wall Street. Investors were spooked. What if this was just the beginning? What if other tech giants, Amazon, Google, Tesla, are next? Trump's message wasn't subtle. Apple was handed a clear ultimatum: start assembling iPhones in America or face a 25% tariff that could slash a quarter of their U.S. profits instantly. Think about that. Apple's global supply chain spans dozens of countries. Final assembly usually happens in China, or more recently, India. Why? Because it's faster, more cost-efficient, and significantly cheaper than anything the U.S. can currently offer. So when Trump insists Apple bring production back to American soil, he's not just confronting one company. He's challenging the very blueprint of global commerce. The message is clear: follow the America First doctrine, or get penalized. Back at the White House, the president is going all in, putting Apple under the spotlight. And yes, behind closed doors, officials admit it would absolutely raise iPhone prices for American buyers. But publicly, not a word. Reporters have asked Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt point blank, but she sidesteps every time, refusing to confirm what most already know. That Trump post about Tim Cook wasn't just frustration. It was a turning point. He wasn't just criticizing foreign governments anymore. He was redefining what it means to be an American company. Headquartered in California? That's not enough. If your products aren't built on U.S. soil, you're in the crosshairs. To Trump, this is about patriotism. Bringing iPhone manufacturing back to the U.S. means more jobs, more national pride, and more leverage. But in reality, making that shift could take years and cost billions. And in the meantime, who pays? You do. The ripple effects start at your wallet, not in boardrooms. And here's the big question. Can this kind of economic nationalism even hold up? Can the U.S. economy truly weather this storm of tariff-fueled policy? And what about small businesses, already struggling with rising costs? We're seeing it unfold now. Trump's trade threats are already impacting everyday Americans, and the worst might still be ahead. But let's take a step back. Why is this all happening now? Why is Trump taking aim at Apple, the EU, and even American consumers all at once? Maybe this isn't about the economy. Maybe it's about politics. Trump thrives in conflict. Whether it's with China, CNN, or Silicon Valley, he feeds off public battles. And then, he positions himself as the one who can fix the chaos. This latest tariff storm, it's not just about reshoring jobs, it's about headlines, leverage, and image. And while the administration says Chinese producers are footing the bill, the reality? Small businesses are being crushed. That's not a theory. That's happening right now. Let's look at one example. Beth Finney, CEO of Busy Baby, a small business in Minnesota. Her company designs and sells baby products. Last month, she told us the trade war was suffocating her business. Since then, the tariff on her Chinese goods dropped from a jaw-dropping 145% to 30%. Better, but not nearly good enough. Beth said, "It went from being totally unable to ship my products to finally getting stuck inventory released from China." But to manage the damage, she had to launch a GoFundMe, just to cover a crushing $48,000 tariff bill, a cost that appeared out of nowhere. When people hear tariffs, they picture political sparring or multinational strategy shifts. But the true cost? It lands in home offices, garages, and small-town factories. That's where the real war is being fought. For entrepreneurs like Beth, Trump's April 2025 tariffs didn't just hurt. They nearly shut her down. Beth's not a politician or a Wall Street player. She's a mom, a job creator, someone who built something from the ground up. In just 1 month, she was forced to ask strangers for help covering a bill that didn't exist weeks earlier. That's not strength, it's struggle. Her company, Busy Baby, sells simple products for parents, items that should be cheap and easy to make. But when tariffs jumped from 0% to 145%, her products got stuck overseas, inventory frozen, revenue stalled. Even when tariffs dropped to 30%, she still owed $48,000. That's not China paying, that's Beth. Let that sink in. A mother running an honest small business had to crowdfund to pay an unexpected government bill. That's the trade war in real life. What about the parents relying on her products, her employees, the countless other small business owners with no platform to speak out? Some say we can't offer certainty to foreign governments during negotiations. But what about American certainty? What about the entrepreneurs trying to plan, produce, and survive? Officials claim that in the long run, Americans will benefit. Workers, shoppers, retailers. But what happens after the 90-day ceasefire? How does a business like Beth's plan for the future? There is one hope, the Small Business Liberation Act, a bill now heading to the Senate. If passed, it would exempt SBA-registered businesses from punishing tariffs. Meanwhile, Chinese tech giant Lenovo still sells $15 billion worth of goods in the US each year and pays zero in tariffs. Zero Beth is paying. Lenovo is not. As she put it, either you pay or your customer does. There's no magic fix. Every dollar lost in this trade war, it's coming out of small businesses or being passed on to American families. And then there's the uncertainty. Beth can't plan. She can't forecast next quarter. She can't expand. And when small businesses can't plan, the economy grinds down. Innovation slows, supply chains fracture. Beth represents millions, entrepreneurs trapped between unclear rules and rising expenses. While the president keeps saying China's paying, the truth couldn't be clearer. Beth is paying. Small businesses are paying. America is paying.